omnipresence, like being everywhere in your community. When people think about insurance, they're going to think about you before they think about anybody else, your competitors. So that's amazing. And yeah, it costs a little bit of money, but more so, it's time, and it's an opportunity to get out and network. And because you didn't, if I remember right, you didn't really do you, internet leads much at all.
So I did internet leads. The funny thing on that is I did that. I won't count my first year because I opened up midway. I was one of those weird people that open up middle of the year, right? So
Okay.
we just try to fight our way through that. But 2015 was my first full year, and we used internet leads. I spent a stupid amount of money on that. Went way into debt. I mean, it's just ridiculous. 2016, I kind of got a different staff, a more experienced staff. And of all the people, one of my team members came to me and was like, "Hey, get rid of these internet leads." I'm like, "Dude, I'm trying to feed you leads." And they're like, "You're wasting your money." I'm like, "Seriously, I'm trying to help you." And they're like, "Stop with the leads. Make us go get our leads." And this is a team member. And I'm like, well, granted, I'm put an asterisk by this because she's now an agent, right? But that's her mindset was like, "Hey, make us go get our leads. Make us go do our job." I'm like, "Cool." Internet leads are gone. So I haven't used internet leads since January of 2016. That was the last one we bought. Um, so I don't know how many years is that, like 5 years, I guess now that we haven't had
Yeah.
internet leads. Yeah, I stay away from 'em. I mean, literally the return on investment is nothing. My lap scan was like 45% at the time. Now it was cool. We would produce a lot of numbers. Of course, we would do the ad on life, right? You get a lot of life app counts, but it was all leaving us. It wasn't good business. It really wasn't. So I just, man, I don't want to grow that way. I want to grow healthy. If I grow slow, that's fine, but I want to grow healthy. And I've been blessed to grow healthy and not necessarily slow. It's been really good.
Man, I
Um,
love I love that because there's multiple ways obviously to go about this business, whether you're doing internet leads, whether you're doing community events, whether you're doing SEO, Facebook presence, or social media presence, centers of influence, all that good stuff. And so it's always good to hear different perspectives, and I love that perspective of just doing away with it, cold turkey, drive your own leads, because it goes back to the shark and goldfish analogy. So if you have a team that all you're doing is dependent on internet leads, they're going to become goldfish. They're going to wait for that internet lead to hit their inbox. Whereas if you have a bunch of sharks going out and driving their own leads, not only are they better quality leads, but it's going to be better business. The team members are going to be happier, I believe. And so, but there's two different ways to go about it. I'm neither nor internet leads. Like, okay, if you want it to be part of your plan, have it part of your plan, but it can't be the only part of your plan, I think, is
yeah,
where most agents really struggle with that.
yeah, 100%. And it's funny you use that analogy because that's kind of what I tell them is like, there's a reason why the sign says don't feed the bears, right? Because they become dependent on you to feed them. I mean,
That's
it's
right.
reality, right?
That's
Don't
right.
feed the bears because then they're just waiting on you to feed them. Um, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with internet leads. I don't want to say that at all, and I don't want to give that misconception because it needs to be a part of some people's plans. It needs to be a
Yep.
bigger part of newer people's plans, right? As you're kind of getting into this, um, there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong with it. And depending on what your goal is, it's a good source. I mean, if you really want to write some auto, you want to boost some scorecard, you know, bonuses, those type of things. Yeah, I mean, it's a great avenue to do that. It'll help you, right? Nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
But for me, it just wasn't my model that I wanted. I wanted to be long term. You know, this is my community. I'm the man in the community. When people think insurance, they go to me, and that's how I wanted to do my business. You know,
Yep.
and neither's wrong. There's no
Yep.
wrong way to do it,
No.
except for don't grow. That's probably the only bad thing. Don't grow.
Yeah.
That's when things are bad. So
You always got to be growing. I'm with you, my man. When I
yeah,
own when I owned insurance brokerage, it was we cold calling in social media and Google. Like we never did internet leads.
mm,
And again, there's not a right or wrong way. It's just what fits your philosophy, your culture, your vision for your business and your agency. And so I love that you touch base on that. I'm a big believer in getting involved in the community. I think it's a long-term play, obviously. Like
mm,
you're not going to see a lot of immediate results off of that, but if you have consistent processes, you're consistently giving back, you're consistently getting in front of the community like you have, all of a sudden years 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, are amazing. And so you've implemented a strategy and process that not only helps you now, but helps you 30 years from now.
Um, it's funny, off air, you and I kind of chatted a little bit with what's coming on, but I don't mind sharing this because I feel like it's a big accomplishment for us and give validity to what you're saying. Is that this is the first year, I'm 7.5 years in, so I'm 7 full years in. This will be the first year we've grown over 1 million in PNC. Now we've grown several hundreds and hundreds of thousands, but we've never hit that mark before. And it goes to what you said. I mean, I'm telling you, we don't do any marketing. And especially now that they did away with mailers, that was my marketing strategy. We'll continue to do mailers, right? It was cheap and we can just throw a whole bunch out there. But now that's even gone away. So it's strictly just off referrals. But it did take time. It wasn't overnight. It wasn't like you can just go, okay, I'm gonna throw a bunch of money in the community and tomorrow I'm gonna write 100 apps. That's not how that works. It took a full year to kind of really build that up to where it's consistently coming in. But every year, every month of every year, it continues to get just a little bit better. We went from writing 80 apps a month to 90 apps a month to 100 to 110 to 120, and it's just every year it seems to grow a little bit more. So it's a longer play, but it's a healthy play. That's how I look at it. My return on my investment is significantly better than when I was spending $2,000 a month on internet leads and closing 10%. And of that, the majority left me within 6 months anyway. So
Yep. It's a it's a healthy growth plan. Your retention is going to be great. Your lapse can will be low. Bigger households, more
mm,
quality, and so I love that. So enough about that though. Let's talk about. So I know you're a big believer in having outside sources of income as well. Talk to us a little bit about that because you do real estate, right?
yeah, so I dabble in a few things, right? I'm not Michael Weaver yet. Like I'm trying to get there someday, right? You do a great job, brother. You really do.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, I do. I believe in it. Just for so I have my reasons why, and I'll share with you guys, right? The insurance world is changing, and they keep telling us we're gonna have self-driving cars, and when that happens, there's gonna be less claims, premiums are gonna drop. I'm like, okay, if premium drop, then my income drops. There's only so many people in my town. I can only write so many. At some point, I'm at 100%. So I've got to find a way to diversify my income. Um, so it was kind of fear driven in the beginning that I'm like, oh my gosh, all these changes are coming, and then what if I don't hit SMBC and I'm losing those percentages, and what if they take away service and lower our comp? Like it's been fear driven in the beginning, so I was like, I got to diversify. So I did. I started dabbling in real estate. Well, so let me tell you a little bit about real estate for anybody that doesn't play in that world. So one, it is a good source of cash flow income, right? I bought my first property in 2016, so 2.5 years in, and then I've just every year I've tried to buy a couple. I think the most I bought is like 3 or 4 in one year. Um, but you get the cash flow side of it, then you get the tax write-off side of it as well, because then you got your depreciation, and I mean, gosh, anything you buy at that point, a hammer, a nail, or whatever, it's all written off. Um, so you got that aspect of it, but then also, guess what? You're networking because I'm buying from investors, and I will tell you, some of my biggest customers are people that I've done deals with. That they're like, hey, sell me whatever property, and I'll keep it insured with you. I was like, oh, great. Well, then, they keep it insured in my office, and I'm like, hey, I really like your team. I quote this, quote that, and all of a sudden, and I'm not exaggerating. I mean, we'll write 40 plus investment properties a month, and it's all from people that I've just built those relationships. So you just win and win and win when it comes to real estate if you do it correctly. You know what I mean?